all these other things I wanted to, anyway, we'll do our best here. I just hope it's been useful. So, a little bit more on self-compassion that I think is important, because we do have to take care of ourselves. And if you noticed a block when we did the meditation trying to love yourself, then that's where we got to do our work. Figure out. Self-compassion is you are not evaluating yourself according to worldly success. Okay? You don't compare yourself with others. That's not self-compassion. Instead, you acknowledge your shortcomings and failings with patience, understanding, and kindness. Okay, you view your problems within a larger context of the shared, here it is again, the shared human condition. This is Thupten Jinpa. Okay, but this is also stuff that I do myself. So self-compassion, unlike self-esteem, lets us feel more connected with other people and more positively disposed toward them. Meaning, I acknowledge my own weaknesses, failures, shortcomings. So when I see it out there, I have compassion. I'm not judging myself, and then I see it out there as a mirror, and then I go, oh, I hate that guy. Often people are mirroring you, right? That's why they're out there in front of your face. There's something, there's a message there. Okay, I'm a believer. I don't know about you guys. I'm an adherent, they say, of the conspiracy theory. You know, there's conspiracy theories. In our country, after 9/11, there was a big conspiracy theory. Okay, this is my conspiracy theory. Are you ready? Everyone is trying to get me enlightened. Okay? So, great. I have a problem with somebody. It can be difficult at first. I have a problem with somebody. I can't do it in front of them maybe, but I go back to my cushion, I go back to my practice. Wow. There's a lesson there. There's a message for me. Thank you. Thank you. Later I come to thank you to this person. Slowly working with them. There's always going to be people like that as long as we're in samsara. And it's important to know you can get out of samsara. Is possible. Okay? So self-compassion. Finally, self-compassion lets you be honest with yourself, with its attitude of, here's a big word, acceptance. Okay? Self-compassion promotes a realistic understanding of our situation. This is Lama Yeshe. Are you touching reality? Okay? If the results of preliminary studies are any indication, our capacity for self-compassion might also be quite flexible and amenable to change. Okay, but the main thing, this attitude of acceptance, do you accept your shortcomings? Do you accept your mistakes? You know, it's just, this is who we are. This is like that. So the more I accept it in me, it doesn't mean I'm not working on it, then I accept it when I see it out there. But we don't. You know, this person's bad, this person's good. We have a lot of duality going on. And then it ends up, people's lack of self-compassion creates self-loathing, hatred. And we see it in countless forms around us. Let me just go through a little thing. This is from Jinpa's book, a psychologist, Kristin Neff. She writes about, this is a systematic scientific approach to self-compassion. She rolls it out through self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Okay, these are some phrases, and I want you to just, in your own mind, how are you doing with these? Okay, do you disagree? Do you agree? Strongly? Less? Okay. These first two relate to self-kindness. Self-kindness. You want to be kind to others? You want to choose kindness? Has to start here. Okay. Here's number one. I try to be understanding and patient towards those aspects of my personality I don't like. How's that going for you? Right? It's interesting, right? You know, it's like, oh, I don't do that very well at all. Okay? But again, understanding and patient towards the aspects of my personality. I mean, imagine if you practice that a lot. That's pretty cool. You know, because then other people mess up and then I'm going to be like, yeah, I do that. Okay, here's number two. When I'm going through a very hard time, I give myself the caring and tenderness I need. Okay. Here's two that relate to common humanity. When I feel inadequate in some way, I try to remind myself that feelings of inadequacy are shared by most people. No, I never think that, right? Don't really think that. Okay. Here's another one. When things are going badly for me, I see the difficulties as part of life that everyone goes through. So do you remind yourself about samsara? That's what Buddhists would do, to put it in Buddhist context. Today sucks, you know? That's samsara. It doesn't mean I'm not trying to get out of samsara. But it's like, what did I think? I'm in the swimming pool again, flailing. The swimming pool's filled with water. I'm going, it's wet here. Is that what I'm doing? That's what a lot of us are doing. Okay. Here's mindfulness. A couple sentences on mindfulness. I love this one. I always do this one, right? When I'm feeling down, I try to approach my feelings with curiosity and openness. Right? Sure. It's a great one, curiosity and openness. Think about it. Okay, you got a problem. Do you approach it with curiosity and openness? That's nice. That's spacious, unique. Try it next time. Try it next time. You have a problem, you're squeezed, and you're a little bit, you can remain squeezed. What about curiosity and openness? You know, it's like, that means I have to do something in a different way. So I wonder what that way is going to be. Right? I have this thing with my housing. I mentioned my father. And so in April, whatever got activated, I got severely stressed. Things were coming up. My sister and brother layering stuff on top. My dad, is he going to move? Is he not going to move? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do? The stuff with our organization. My role as a teacher, great. Can I, centers, what? Somehow it was just too much. And then from my mind, I got a massive muscle spasm in my hip. It was just from my mind. I could see it was just the stress. Unbelievable. Because it does manifest through your body. Your mind moves it. So, I couldn't even get in and out of a car. I was teaching in Florida, and we had laughs about it, the women down there, because it happened. It just happened. I wasn't reaching for anything or exercising or stretching. Just suddenly I was on the phone about housing. Housing's a primordial situation, let's face it, food and housing. I was on the phone, somebody answered the phone, and this went. It was totally you could see. So then these women had to pick me up to teach at the center, and I said, okay, you just need to give me a minute to get in the car, because I couldn't lift one leg. So I said, okay, and then I have to hang on and be like, okay. Try to get my leg into the, those of you that have had children, I'm sure it's nothing like that. But so it was interesting and then I realized at the end of the month, I thought, I can't go on like this. This is useless. So I just let go of being attached to the outcome. Curiosity and openness. Whatever happens, it's not like I'm not doing stuff to, keep things moving along, but I'm not going to get all caught up in what I can't control. It's like there's no point. So now it's okay. It'll work out. Here's another one, mindfulness. When I fail at something important, I know you all do this. When I fail at something important to me, I try to keep things in perspective. Okay? So you might say, where you might need to work. But, some nice little exercises of the next time, this is your self-compassion, the next time I feel inadequate. Many people have these feelings. Well, why do you think you're special, that you're the only one? Many people experience this. There's so many things. When I mess up, can I keep it in perspective? You'll be much happier. Why not? What's the other point? To rail myself, whip myself? It's tiring. Okay, let me, a couple other things. And I forgot this exercise. I forgot what I started to bring something up, and then you were going to do it at the break, and I forgot what that was. Anyway.
We were recollecting times when other people have been kind towards us and how that made us feel.
Well, we started that in the meditation, but there was something prior to that I explained, and then I remembered it briefly when you took the break, and I went, oh, I forgot to. Anyway, we'll do it next time. We'll just have to remember. So there is a little bit of a fear of compassion and empathy, that you'll be a doormat. This is not about codependency or enabling. Those are unhealthy patterns. Okay? People, like I said, you cannot take every street person, every homeless person into your house. I don't personally feel that that's reasonable in my life. I don't feel comfortable doing that. But I have a choice when I walk by them. I can give money. I can talk to them, right? I can buy them food. I can buy them an item that they might want. There's many options. I can ignore them. I can pretend they're not there. You have many things. So it's not about, in the face of social injustice, as a bodhisattva warrior, as somebody on this path, you do have a responsibility to act, but always with compassionate wisdom. It has to be with compassionate wisdom. So you have this idea of a fear of compassion. If I'm too compassionate, people will become dependent on me. I won't be able to deal with their suffering. People should really help themselves rather than waiting for me to help them. You have these ideas, but I wouldn't give it, that's just distraction. That's not pure compassion. People will take advantage of me. Bodhisattvas set boundaries. My teachers set boundaries. I set boundaries. I've just found you need renewal time. You need your downtime. You need your break time, right? Why? My motivation's always so I can go back out there and help others, because I really want to do that. But in order to do it, I've got to have some time for myself. And this only says, then be selfish like that. Then my selfishness is directed like that. Okay, but it's not that it doesn't have a bigger motivation. It's not just about me. Okay. Compassion acknowledges the truth, the fundamental truth of our human condition, okay? This is key. Not all pain can be fixed. We're a culture of fixers, okay? There's a limit to what each of us can do in the face of suffering, okay? So again, there's some people and they just need you to listen to them. I've learned that. I'm a fixer. So as soon as somebody's, no, sometimes they just need me to listen. That's good enough, okay? Compassion calls for an attitude of humility. In many situations, it's not fixing that is needed. Rather, it's an empathetic response. It's just acceptance, understanding, solidarity, okay? Sometimes somebody tells you something, right? And all they really want to hear is, yeah, that totally sucks. That's it. That's good enough. That's your compassion. You don't need to fix it and sort it for them. And it's like, I'm here with you, sister. That sucks. Right? That's really painful. Right? Sometimes they just want a hug. I know in Britain you don't hug. We don't hug much on the east coast of the States, okay? We're with you on that. In California, some people would just throw their arms around me. When I first moved out there, I was like, oh, I don't even know this person, right? But you gauge it. Sometimes somebody just needs your ear. So many people just want you to listen. They just need to talk and they just want you to listen, and I'll just sit there. I don't have to say anything. Now I remembered. Bing! Okay. Awareness. Okay? Some things I mentioned are in high relief for us. I mentioned the color of the carpet. Remember, we didn't see the color of the carpet. Okay? So unfortunately we missed the exercise, but you could do it after. What do you have in your perspective that is in high relief? And who and what are you not seeing? Are you choosing not to see? We do this with homeless people. I don't want to see what's over there. I don't want to see what's over there. We have a joke in my family about tall white men, okay? Tall white men seem to be getting a lot of the most attention on the planet, it seems, for the most part. I've noticed airline counters. I've noticed in shops and at restaurants, and somehow they assert themselves and then I assert myself and then other people assert themselves and they're not seen. There's some people that aren't seen on the planet. Some people that are seen hostilely when I might not be seen hostilely. So you gauge also how you want to intervene. And one experience I just had at a counter in a bakery, I went to a bakery near where I live. I don't often go there. It's an expensive bakery. And I went in because I know there's something there that my dad really likes. So I thought I'm just going to get a few treats for him, just a little thing of it. And I went up to the bakery. It has a high counter. And I'm in the bakery. It's inside a little food mall. So I'm in the bakery, and I'm standing there. I think I ran out of cash, so I gave her a credit card. It wasn't much, but I think I gave the credit card. The woman was standing there, and then great. And I wasn't done. I finished, but I was putting stuff in my bag. So the woman next to me went to order. She ordered, and then she gave a card. And then I heard the fateful words. This is going on a lot in the States. There's a bit of controversy over this. Then I heard the fateful words, "Do you have 2 forms of ID?" She didn't ask me for 2 forms of ID. So somehow it perked my ears up. Like, it's not my business, okay? But I just somehow looked up and I looked over at this woman who had dark skin. And I looked over at her and I kind of looked at her like, what, why would she be asked for 2 forms? She looked fine to me. I didn't really notice. But so then I stood there and I just thought, like, do I say something? Do I not say something? Is there a problem? But I wasn't asked for 2 forms of ID. Why is she being asked for 2 forms of ID? Right? So different treatment of, and then somehow I kind of was gauging, and you're in this little quick thing of what do I do? What do I do? Do I do something? It's not really my business, but maybe it is because I'm on the planet and I don't think this is okay. And so I just managed to blurt out innocently, not charged, and I just said, is there a problem? And then the woman behind the counter saw me, because she knew she just took my card, didn't ask me for ID. And then she looked at me and she said, and I looked like this, and she said, oh, no. Oh, no, never mind. And then she just took the woman's card and did the transaction. And I walked away at that point. And then the woman came up to me and thanked me. And so there's issues like that where we're treating somebody differently based on what they look like, that they look poor, they've got a lot of piercings, they've got a lot of tattoos, they're bald, they're fat, they're tall, they're thin, they're rich, I did it with the guy in the big SUV. I had a big thing about him. I was wrong. And so it's interesting to play with what you're seeing in high relief, what asks for a lot of attention and demands attention from you, and sometimes privilege does that, and what is in the background that we don't get to see, that we're choosing not to see. Sometimes that's quite interesting. So that was an interjection. So let me go back to, so again, with compassion, it's always helpful to remember that some pain and sorrow are unavoidable, part of what it means to be human. Okay, it's not up to us to say whether or not we suffer, but we can choose how we respond. So do we resist the reality of suffering with anger, denial, or attachment? Do we let ourselves remain gripped with thoughts like, why me? It's not fair. Okay? Buddhism takes the whole blame out of it because of karma. It means everything comes from the mind, comes from my mind, my experience. So I'm not blaming myself, I'm just taking responsibility. Like that. It's your choice how you choose to take responsibility. I just want to go a little bit back, Pema Chodron, related to this. Okay. The discomfort, when I mentioned discomfort, samsara, these things we're talking about, associated with the groundlessness of being human, which involves our flaws and samsara, and with the fundamental ambiguity of being human, comes from our attachment to wanting things to be a certain way. So what happens is when the attachment, when things wanting to be a certain way gets threatened, view gets threatened, there's this neuroses and edginess that comes, okay? And so what we do is we don't want to deal with the pain, and I talked about numbing and denying and this thing. Instead of trying to avoid the discomfort, with mindfulness, you just open to it. I just experience, I'm uncomfortable now. This is how mindfulness is really helpful with this.